welcome to Last Man Standing, and my sincerest apologies to Joe Dog and everybody over at Stupid O'Clock for totally derailing everything they were doing there with their outro. And I'm still learning how to do this stuff, so mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. And let's bring Bill and John in here. So, Jim.
Good mic test there, John.
Yeah, well. Oh, that was a really interesting discussion on cars, basically.
You didn't die, so you learned something tonight.
What bothers me is tomorrow afternoon starts LibertyCon. So are we going to have his Stupid O'Clock Saturday night? Joe has not said, so I don't know if he's going to be busy doing the stuff or
doing other stuff. Yeah,
and doing the other stuff, or if we're actually going to go ahead and have a Stupid O'Clock and well, naturally, we can't tie it into LibertyCon, but we could if we were there next year. We'll probably be doing a live one.
Well, to quote Arlie Ermy, God plays his games, we play ours.
Yeah. Trouble is, the bugger hides the dice.
Well, that's why you have to own so many of them.
So basically, gentlemen, where shall we go from here?
That's a good question. What is a good subject?
Forward.
Yeah. Well, forward in which direction? Now, some of those cars were really, really neat. I really liked that, and I was serious. If I had unlimited money, I would have a Landmaster sitting in the driveway right now, and I'd drive it to work. And I'd scare the piss out of everybody there.
Dan's gone postal.
John Hines was talking about I needed to post pictures of my van, but the only ones that I've got in this computer are basically stuff from when I was actually mounting the fog lights and the different cameras on it. So it's just detailed photographs of that. It doesn't show the whole van, but it's basically just a Kia van, 2006 model. But it's got 2 sets of fog lights on a custom made aluminum bar between the luggage racks on it, and it's got a forward looking infrared camera in the middle of that. And no, John, it's not that impressive because it's one of those widescreen, like a backup camera. So
right.
It's even smaller than what it needs to be. I did custom make the housing for it to go in out of a teardrop shaped fog light. But if I had been able to get just a normal or even a close up version of one of those infrared cameras, it would be a whole lot more useful, because I'd be able to drive down the road at night and see deer fixing to cross the road in the camera, instead of, oh, wait a minute, that looks kind of bright there, but it's also like half a, whoa, I just went past it. It's not half a mile away. Backup cameras are really nice, but the wide angle lenses are made for exactly that. Being able to see behind you, being able to see in front of you is something else again. So maybe one of these days they will make a commercially available forward-looking infrared camera for automobiles, and I'll get myself one and see if I can't throw it in that same mounting. I've got to rewire all of it. Last time I went and got my oil changed, they vacuumed out the passenger, the cockpit and everything, and somehow or another they shorted out my CB radio, the backup camera, and the fog lights all at once. So I've checked the fuses. It's not the fuses. So they've really did some damage somewhere. I'm going to have to rewire the whole thing.
Does anybody ever talk on the CB radio anymore, Dan?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, they're
It's
just not quite as big as you're used to.
it's really handy when you're going off to a convention or something, and you come up to a rolling roadblock, and you want to know whether or not it's a traffic accident or if it's construction. And if it's a traffic accident, which lane do you need to be in to get past it the quickest? And the truck drivers will tell you exactly, get in the right lane, get in the left lane. No, it's all closed ahead. You'd be better off pulling off and trying to re-navigate around this thing. There was one year coming back from a LibertyCon where a semi had gone sideways across southbound 75, and we had to get off at I-20 because it was in between the two, the on-ramp and the off-ramp for I-20. If I had known exactly that, and nobody had said it, I could have just gone off of 75, gone across, and gone back up onto 75. But I tried re-navigating home through I-20 and found out the traffic was a whole lot more bearable than going to Atlanta and having to deal with 285. So I have come to hate 285 with a passion. It's just too dangerous, and I'm not as young as I once was. Now, thankfully, my reflexes are still pretty good. But
The thing with 285, it's just like Rosanna Dennis used to say. It's always something.
mm-hmm.
If it ain't a traffic accident, if it ain't a shooting, it's construction or just something.
There's always something there, and I do like the way that they have changed the speed limit signs on 285 so that they can adjust them for different times of day and slow stuff down during rush hour as if
Probably a
anybody
smart
else.
idea. Not that anybody
Well,
ever pays any attention to the speed limit.
exactly my point. Nobody ever pays attention to it until they get pulled over, and then they go, "What? I was just going as fast as everybody else." No, you were going about 50 miles faster than everybody else. Okay. It's just one of those things. Oh, comments. I had just forgotten to go back.
Oh, no, you forgot to go to comments. You're supposed to be running this thing, Dan.
Yeah, I know. I still had it on brand so that I could do all this other stuff here and get it started. Oh, the only thing I've ever there are two places on the planet that I have run into that were comparable to 285, and one of them is around Knoxville, and the other is the Washington D.C. Beltway.
You ever been to Dallas?
Yeah, I have, on a motorcycle. No problem. Evidently, I got there at the perfect time of day. But
About half of Dallas is tollways. So.
And this is before the invention of GPSs, so I just had to go with a paper map and pull over and look and read the thing. But I managed to find Denton, Texas, and I regret that I was going on the bike and I did not get a chance to pull over and take a picture of the Denton, Texas. You are now entering Denton sign. I wish I had that just because of the Rocky Horror Picture Show connection, and I always wish that somebody would just do that and send me a photograph. But I'll probably never go that way again. I did go out to Socorro, New Mexico, flew out to Albuquerque, and got a rental car and drove down to Socorro. And a lot of the speed limits out through there are 75 miles an hour, and I'm going, You know, the people in Atlanta would take that as a suggestion and just see how fast their car would go. And I imagine there are a lot of folks that would do that sort of thing. But it being as how it was a rental, I kind of locked the cruise control at whatever was the speed limit and just hung on for the ride. There's one place in between Albuquerque and Socorro where the speed limit goes from 75 to 45 to 25 inside the length of a football field. And then it goes back up the same way. And the only thing that's there is a grocery store and about 5 houses. And I'm going, well, obviously they have their own police department. This is how they make money for the county. Get speeding tickets off of everybody. Goes, oh, I can't slow down that fast.
Remember back in the 70s, my dad got pulled over by police. He didn't understand it because he was going the speed limit, and this was up by south side of Chicago. And the police said, I know you were going the speed limit, but you were not keeping up with the rest of the traffic. We need you to go over the speed limit, otherwise you will cause an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And still to this day, that holds true. Our little trip last weekend that we took, and it was much the same going. Well, it took 57 up to 80, and then on up into north of Chicago, and same way.
Josh has got a message for you there. Looks like you've got a storm warning headed your way.
West around 230 miles.
That's quite a ways off, but these things have a way of just keeping on traveling.
Yeah, and I'm checking right now, and so far we have nothing. We had a flash flood watch that started, I believe, at 7 o'clock that goes through Saturday or Sunday morning. I forget which, but right now that's the only thing shown, though. But thanks, Josh. Josh has a lot of access to certain meteorological, I guess is the term, equipment and technology that most of your meteorologists on TV have. And so he's always kind of on the lookout for such things. But thank you, though. I know we got more storms coming through tonight. Up here in Illinois, started today, we got rain in the forecast for about the next 7 days. They're talking 7 inches and more.
John, was that the Denton water tower?
Yep.
What I was talking about, they actually had the billboard from Rocky Horror, or what it might have been Shock Treatment, but the big welcome to Denton. And
I did not see any of those, but Denton is actually a fairly big town, so it's,
yeah, it would have been going north from Dallas Fort Worth to Denton. I had no idea that was where I was going through, so I was unprepared for that little surprise when it caught me, and spent a couple of days there with an artist friend of mine that I knew from online, and then hopped promptly on my motorcycle again and took off for Daytona, Florida. And look, I don't know how tough real bikers are, but I only stopped for gas and meals. So I went for like 24 hours straight on the bike down, let's see, I believe it was Highway 10 from Dallas to Daytona. And Let me tell you, that last 30 minutes, I was sleepy, which is a bad thing to be on a motorcycle. But I made it there safely and crashed for quite a couple of hours there. So everything turned out all right. Spent a week in Daytona, and right there on the beach, actually got to see a live rocket launch from Kennedy. And I did not know about it, but I heard about it on the radio there in the hotel room, and walked out to the guardrail there around the patio, around the pool, just at the beach, and looked south, and there it was. First one I'd ever got to see live. I'd seen plenty of rocket launches on TV, but this is the first one I ever got to see live, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It looked like it was close enough to reach out and touch, although it was several hundred miles away, no doubt. But it was absolutely great. Now, I'm going to have to run off to the beer fridge. I will be right back. Y'all try not to get too bored. And I'm pulling a skunk here. I'm just doing nothing but talking. So, hello, Keisha. There
Hi,
we
Keisha.
go. There's a
Glad
reason
you
to be
hung around for that
entertaining.
extra 10 seconds. I'll tell you.
Yeah, really. Glad to see you. Thank you very much. I'll be right back. I'm going to the fridge. No big deal. I do that every half an hour or so.
I think what Dan needs is one of those.
Little mini fridges just for the show.
Well, what was it in Friends? They had the Barca Lounger that had the little refrigerator in the armrest or something.
You know, that I'm not too impressed with, but I do like, I'm trying to remember who it is that has they have the coffee table that has the refrigerator built into it. It also has plugs in the side for plugging in all your phones and other electronics so that you can charge them up. Hang on a minute, I have to look that one up.
Yeah, I need.
Refrigerator. Coffee. Oh, there it is. Wait, coffee table. There we go. Let's see. The company that makes them is called Sobro. And let me see if I can find one here. There's a good one. Oh, All Modern Accents is the company that normally sells them in the United States. But let me bring that up here real quick. They're not our sponsor, but they ought to be, because if they were smart, they'd sponsor Dan's show.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think pretty cool here. Add to stream. There we go. That thing. And you can see the little USB thing, and it's got two different frames.
Oh, yeah. Very, very IKEA-like.
Exactly. And I'd love to have something. Can you imagine? I used to be a D&D gamer, and we always talked about building the ultimate gaming table with all sorts of stuff. Of course, now with flat screen TVs, you can actually build a really cool gaming table and stuff like that. Can you imagine something like that as your gaming table?
I used to be into, when I was about 12 years old to 17, I was into HO scale model railroading a lot. We always talked about the ultimate and most accessible tables to build your layouts on, because you could get a 20 by 20 table and all that, but then to have access to something, if you got electrical issues or something on the track or one of the buildings or whatever, sometimes it was just darn near impossible to be able to fix what needs to be fixed. So
hey, Bill,
yeah.
Stop a second. You need to put that mic over in front of your mouth somehow, because we're only getting about half. It sounds really chunky.
Okay.
A little better.
That ain't better?
Sure. Now, some of these mics you have to talk into the tip, and some of them, like I think the one you've got, you have to talk into the side of it. But yeah, that's
what I had it in the side there. Yeah.
But we were getting like really, your voice was really chunky, and it just didn't.
Well, too, the stupid splitter that I got to use because Samsung no longer on the Samsung tablet that I have, they no longer do the uh, little jacks for the earplugs.
Right. Everything's USB.
So I got to use one of these splitters to operate that and then plug in my power cord. And I noticed a couple times tonight that the audio or you guys dropped out until I tapped it. And then it came back. So I'm also wondering if there's an issue with it. I bought this online and I'm thinking I got what I paid for is about the bad thing about it.
Yep, that's usually the case.
I bought this thing when I was stationed in Iraq, and it was the coolest thing at the time. It was this little hot plate that plugged into a USB port and would keep your coffee warm while you're on the computer. 5 volts just won't keep any damn thing warm. Okay, let's just put it that way. I think if I wall mount it, it might do a little better. But if you plug it into the laptop while you're using it, it don't do shit. But I still got it, and I don't know why.
I had one years ago. You actually plugged into an outlet.
We've had them before. Mom bought them, strange enough, to put candles on. And the idea was it would heat up the candle, melt the wax. The whole room would smell like a whorehouse. And just, yeah. But I was like, I need one of them for my coffee. He says, no, I'm using those for my candles.
No, I got one as a Christmas present for my mother for is expressly to set a coffee cup on, and it got hot. Believe me, if you tried to grab your coffee cup without using the handle, I mean down near the bottom of it, you could burn everything right around in here. I mean, it was a hot plate basically. So it lasted about 2 years. And then it just kind of gave up the ghost and never heated up again. So call that obsolescence. Yeah, something like that.
That's the Walmart variant.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'd have to look up one from the 80s. This one was square with a round.
I'm sorry, that's an Amazon variant. My bad.
Oh, okay. Well,
that was kind of neat.
Oh, that looks nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
How much is this? $25.
That's not bad.
My mom owes me some money for all that furniture I was moving at her house the last 2 days.
Well,
yeah, I don't like to hit her up for money, but she keeps throwing it at me. I usually wind up spending it back at her. So
yeah. I usually wind up. My mom will write me a check, and I'll go home and I'll tear it up and never cash it. I mean, my mother does not need to.
I think I saw that Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's a Seinfeldism.
Yeah.
Who was it that convinced him to cash all those checks? And it turned out she had closed that account years ago.
I think it was Kramer.
It was a Kramer, and she got a call from the bank, like, you need to come in here and pay for these damn checks you wrote before we throw you in jail.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Then his dad comes by and says, or
good night, Keisha.
Good night, Keisha.
I don't know.
You needed money, you should let me know. What? You had to cash grandma's check? Just did that to be nice. Well, she's in jail. What do you do next?
No, there was at one time. My dad had a little bitty boat, and I bought his trolling motor from him. And he bought a 16-foot fishing ski Stingray inboard outboard with a Mercury engine. And this is an impressive boat. Let me tell you, it will mortally fly across water and scare you to death. But it's to pull skiers, so we just used it for fishing. But Dad liked to get out there and just go let's see what it'll do. And anyway, the little bitty boat may still be in the barn where we used to keep the hay baler, but I had never come and got the trolling motor, and I had never come and got the boat, which was a gift to me. So Mom decided she was going to buy the trolling motor back from me. So she wrote me out a check for $100, which is what the trolling motor cost, and about half again what Dad had asked me to pay for it. And I kept that check in my wallet for about 5 years, and I go, I'm never going to take Mama's money. I mean, good Lord, I would feel like I was being evil to take money from my mother. So I finally tore it.
Let me tell you why I will take money from my mother. She doesn't have any foster kids right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she might be getting 2 boys in the near future. They're a little older, 7 and 8, or something like that. But she wanted to change around. She has 2 rooms at her house, a boys' room and a girls' room. She wanted to change around the boys' room. So first thing I had to do was go clean her back porch. She's got a windowed in back porch. It's like a sunroom kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take her queen size bed from her bedroom and put it on the back porch, but I had to clean all the furniture up on the back porch first, because the back porch was kind of a playroom for the kids. So I had to remove the day bed, the trundle bed, the extra mattresses, get them all out of the way, disassemble the queen bed, take it out to the back porch, reassemble the queen bed. Okay. Now, she decided she didn't want that day bed or that trundle bed out in the house right now, so I had to drag all that stuff up into the attic. Day bed wasn't too bad because it comes apart, but that trundle bed weighs almost 100 pounds, just the frame. I had to drag that sumbitch up into the attic. In the middle of June, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, attic's only about 130, 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm dragging. Then I had to drag down these 2 twin beds that she wanted to replace the queen bed with in the boys' room. So I had to go back and dig through all the Christmas decorations, Christmas tree, the deer that she sets out in the front yard, the Christmas decorations. And I had to dig back, had to move all the moving boxes from U-Haul. So I finally got back to this bed that I knew she was never going to use again for the rest of her life. So I'd put it way back in the back of the attic. That's what she wanted. So I dragged all that stuff out of the attic, dragged it downstairs, assembled all the twin beds, and then it turns out we didn't have any slats for the twin beds. So we had to go to, I think she went to Lowe's to get slats for the bed cut to the right length and everything like that. $10,000 worth of slats later, because you've seen lumber prices lately. Anyway, I had to quit working on it yesterday because we didn't have the slats. So she was going to order slats. She was going to order them off Amazon, but she didn't like the reviews on the slats. And after she went to Lowe's and bought those slats, I can see why. Because when I was a kid, slats were about 4 inches wide, almost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
About 3/4 of an inch thick and as wide, as long as you needed them to fit the bed, right? These things were about 1/2 inch thick, about 3 inches wide. It looks like something you'd build a balsa wood airplane out of.
There is no such thing as a 2x4, not for a long time. A 2x4 does not measure 2x4.
No, it's 3.5 by 1.5, something like that.
You probably would have been better off getting a 4x8 sheet of 7/16 plywood or something.
Not right now. Not with lumber prices the way they are. That's
yeah. Well,
like
I know that, but
$500 worth of plywood right there.
Yeah, really.
But anyway, she went and got them cut. And it turns out they'd overcharged her on the first. She went and bought 8 of them, and 8 of them weren't gonna. I mean, between the 2 beds, 8. If I put 4 in each bed, it wouldn't hold up that mattress worth a damn. So I sent her back to get 8 more. I sent her back to get 8 more, and it turns out they'd overcharged her for the first 8. So she basically wound up getting the second 8 for free. So anyway, yesterday I was out on the back porch doing all that work, moving all the stuff around, moving beds and furniture and every other darn thing. And while I was back there, I was looking at that old ceiling fan she had on her back porch. She said, and she had mentioned that she'd slept on the queen size bed. Well, no, that was today. But anyway, she'd mentioned, ceiling fan. I said, that ceiling fan, that thing's been up there for since 2006. And all the rubber on it and the plastic on the ceiling fan, the little grommets and everything, were dry rotted.
Yeah.
I said, you should probably go get a new ceiling fan. If I'm going to be over here working on this stuff, I can go ahead and throw a ceiling fan on. So she said, oh, that's a good idea. So she went and bought a ceiling fan this morning. So I put up this new ceiling fan, and it's kind of nice. She bought one of these Harbor something.
Harbor Lights.
I believe that's it.
Harbor Breeze.
Harbor Breeze. I believe that's the one. And it had the fan blades on it look like palm leaves, real wide, real nice. The lights are a lot better. It's all LED and stuff like that. So it's real nice on the back porch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I put that up today. So I spent most of the day putting up ceiling fan. And then putting the new put all the slats on the bed, put all the mattresses on top of the bed, rearrange the room so that all the furniture fit and you can still get to the bathroom, the closets, and the chest of drawers and all like that. And drug that damn trundle bed up into her attic, which her attic stairs are built about the same quality as those bed slats. So I was seriously expecting the steps on the attic steps where I was pulling that trundle bed up. I'm almost 200 pounds. That trundle bed's about 100. I'm like, that's 300 pounds on a piece of damn board. I was seriously halfway expecting to wind up in hospital today.
Now, was this an overhead door, or are they permanently built stairs?
It's the overhead pull down.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
you are lucky to be alive, son.
I am
you are lucky
alive.
To be alive.
Pray, hallelujah. Praise whoever. It's like that joke from Mad Max Fury Road. Who are you praying to? Whoever's listening.
Yeah, really.
I would convince your mom, John, that putting things down in the basement might be a little better.
It's a slab house. It doesn't have a basement.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my mom won't believe me, but as far as I'm concerned, it's built on a swamp. And if you know anything about this portion of East Ridge, Tennessee, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about.
Yep, you're going to need a dehumidifier down there and lots of other stuff. Slab? Oh, that's the main floor. They're not a basement.
Nope, no basement. Just an attic.
Oh,
just build a full
unfinished attic. The water heater is in the attic.
who thought that was a good idea?
Wow. Well, actually, I've heard of several furnaces being in attics before.
Well, her furnace is in the attic. All of the utilities are pretty much up in the attic, except for the propane fireplace. That's the only utility she's got. It's not in the attic.
By the way, I'm just pulling up the comments. I just noticed Kimberly Kempson here. Hi to Kimberly too. That's Josh's wife.
Oh, is that Keisha or? I didn't see it, Kimberly. Wait, am I missing something here?
Well, Keisha was in here too. Keisha,
right? I don't see Kimberly. Is that on like Facebook or something? I'm not.
I'm sharing it on. Well, I shared Stupid O'Clock on both my artwork page and my personal page, but I just had time to share Dan's show on my Facebook.
The only thing I'm seeing right now is the comments on StreamYard, and most of those are Facebooks. So the only ones I've seen so far are from Josh and Keisha.
Yeah,
whoever else he was talking about. Hi.
Yeah, really. It just says she's watching, so I don't think Kimberly, make a comment. Let's see if we can see you here in StreamYard.
Waiting.
No, John, I think you ought to just build your mom a pole barn out behind your house.
My mom gets daily deliveries from Amazon. Every day I've been over at her house for the last 2 weeks, I pulled something out of her mailbox from Amazon. If it wasn't in a big box in front of the front door.
Oh wow, this is neat. This is neat. Facebook likes, Ted Davies,
Oh yeah,
my daughter Sharon,
Woo.
Josh.
Your daughter still likes you. Woohoo!
Hey, it's my daughter. There's Kimberly Kemp popping
There's
in.
Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly.
Oh hey, see, she does exist. I thought.
Yes, yes. I invented her while we were talking.
You never know.
Yeah, you
They're
recruited
good
her.
friends.
You recruited her from one of Nick Tuckert's groups of cryptids or something.
Yeah, no. They're very, very good people. Good friends of mine who live down by Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa.
Foster's, Indiana. Or I'm sorry, Alabama.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Alabama and Indiana, and it's mostly like 70% humidity. So,
Well, I was going to bring something up earlier when everybody was talking about Amish and that.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was wondering if everybody.
You can say whatever you want about the Amish, because let's face it, they're not listening.
Well, I used to I had them living all around me. When I was married 20-some years ago, I lived in Rockville, Indiana, and which is the heart of Park County, Indiana, which has the most covered bridges in the United States. There's like 34, 35. I mean, I'm talking old covered bridges.
Oh, that's coming back, right? Covered bridges.
Yeah.
It won't be long before they're all covered with solar panels. So.
And the thing about it is that that's the reason why these bridges last as long as they do. One of them that was near where I lived was the Jackson Bridge, and it was actually built in 1861. So Civil War era covered bridge, and it's just as good now as it was then. That roof helps the longevity of the bridge. I mean, But anyway, I got off on a sidetrack there. Had Amish living all around me, and so I was listening intently to what Skunk and everybody was saying. But when they got talking about the Mennonites and that, I was wondering if anybody heard of that group called the Electric Amish that used to be on the Bob and Tom show. And they were basically three guys doing parodies of songs, much like Weird Al. And instead of Sweet Home Alabama, it was Sweet Home Indiana. And they would change, they would play it just like the original Leonard Skinner song, but they would change all the lyrics, and it would have to do with Amish people. And most often, in the middle of whatever song it was, they would do a Mennonite joke that, I mean, very, very anti-Mennonite. And it just, you get on YouTube and you Google punch in the Electric Amish on there, and there's a lot. I used to have one of their albums, and that instead of A Hard Day's Night, which of course everybody knows the cover, this far up of all four Beatles, it was called A Hard Day's Work. Well, because there was only three members of the Electric Amish, the fourth one, they had the mule on the cover.
During football games, I can only imagine. I know football games down here get a little bit irreverent sometimes.
Yeah, think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got two different religions down here. One of them is Southern Baptist, and the other one is football.
Kind of how it was in Indiana.
You got Baptist and UGA.
Exactly.
And yeah, Dan, I was a member of both.
Believe it or not, so was I for the longest time. And then I reached the age of consent and withheld it.
Church of the White English Bulldog. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That was still going strong. Some of the others are struggling a little bit, especially during the last economic downturn, but things are coming back.
Well, the church service that I share on my Facebook page every Sunday morning, pastor that church, Rosedale Baptist Church, that's actually Kimberly Kemp's uncle. I, they're about as old-fashioned Baptist as it comes. And
I'm well aware from my time in East Tennessee about how old-fashioned Baptists can get.
Oh yeah, well, especially Southern Baptists. But
Yep, I had to go to a family funeral a few years ago, and it was up in Kentucky, and they had the same kind of preacher that was in my paternal grandmother's church in East Tennessee, and it had been years since I had heard that intonation going on with the hellfire and damnation. I mean, this was a serious preacher, and it was. I don't even want to attempt to do the accent because I could, but I would do it badly, and that would be disrespectful. So I won't. But if you can remember TV church services from local churches, not great big mega churches like we got now, but local stuff back in the 60s, it was that kind of the preachers always seemed to end every sentence on a rising note with a shout at the end. I mean, it was just kind of intense right there, a punchline basically. And I can't do it, but I remember it so well.
Yeah, there was an inflection in their voice when they,
And no matter what they said, when they came to a period, it was the most dramatic period possible. But I enjoyed singing along with the choir, and in the Sunday school stuff and things like that. I had a very conservative upbringing for somebody who is so not quite conservative now. Don't know if that's got any connection between the two, but well, it is what it is.
Find your own way.
Yeah, really. Any road up's all right, long as it's a road up. John, what's the background you got there?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That is Lori Petty from Tank Girl.
Wow. I thought it might have been Wonder Woman's mom there from one of the recent movies.
Wonder Woman's mom was played by Robin Wright, who is
yes, from Princess Bride, yes,
and from Blade Runner 2049, played the police commissioner, Madam, as they called her.
You're welcome,
I don't think I saw that one.
Really? You haven't seen the new Blade Runner movie?
Nope.
Oh, you need to see that one. Pretty
good.
Well,
I don't go to theaters. I've got this fear of crowds. It's the same. It's the thing.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere now. It's on all the cables. And
I don't
DVD.
have.
Yes.
I don't.
I think it's on Telegraph. You should be able to get it by now.
We turned the satellite dish off. We've got Netflix. We've got BritBox.
It should be
And
on Netflix.
it will. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. There was one movie. It was a live action based on an anime, and I remembered the anime from Toonami back when I still had satellite dish on my Cartoon Network, and I wanted to watch it. I got it set up, and then I had to go to bed because it was so late at night. And the next time I came back to Netflix, movie was gone. But they kept asking me how much I liked it. I'm going, well, if you put it back on, I'd be able to see it and tell you. Oh, heavenly day. I'll be right back.
And Josh says, "Get me a fire stick."
Get me a fire stick.
And I think Josh could instruct you a couple of unique ways to adapt that fire stick, but we won't go there. I'll just put it this way. The word that I don't want to mention is my favorite Thin Lizzy album title. And Josh says correct.
I'm sorry. Straight enough, I'm posting something on Stupid O'Clock that we were talking about earlier. You remember we talked about dream vehicles and somebody mentioned the truck from Knight Rider?
I think Skunk did.
It just got posted from another site that we frequent, and I posted it Stupid O'Clock.
I think, it was
It was called the Flag. Was the name of the truck that they had in Knight Rider? It was the Flag truck or Flag vehicle, Flag mobile base.
I never watched that show enough to know all the characters in that. I know there was an old man and a young, really good looking woman that was in the truck.
Several good looking women.
Well, this guy was an older.
You missed a lot.
I evidently did. And I'm actually occasionally will catch it. I think it's on Charge TV, and I'm one of these guys that I got rid of the satellite, and I have I got 40-inch Vizio Smart TV, so I have a lot of those free channels just because I have the internet. But I also utilize the old-fashioned antennas. Where I'm at right now, I can't have an outside antenna. I got one of the
You're talking about women. You had Patricia McPherson played Bonnie Barstow, who was the one that always worked on Kit.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a numerous. I can't even begin to list all the women that they got listed on their IMDb page. I'll just tell you, go to IMDb and look up all the women. Excuse me.
There were two girls that worked on Kit, and Bonnie was one of them, and I can't remember the other one. Oh, now he's gone off to look.
Yeah. So who was the old? I told him, I said I only remember the old guy and the woman inside the truck whenever they were working on Kid or talking to Michael about whatever adventure he was on. I don't know who the guy was, but he was old. Well, like I said,
Edward Mohair.
Okay, all right.
Ghost and Mrs. Muir, basically.
Okay, I never watched the show initially much then, and I'm kind of watching it now, so a lot of the episodes are new to me. Seeing them on Charge TV just about daily.
Yeah, some of them were really, really good. Some of them were kind of corny.
Oh, yeah, very much. And that's probably why I didn't watch it, man.
Well, it was just that sort of thing, and I don't want to say it was on during my high school years, so I was home with mom and dad, and they were watching it. But it could have been
Early 80s, early 80s.
oh well, I was already out of the house by then, so
Yeah.
I was watching it on my own. What am I sipping on, Mr. Dan? I am sipping on a little bit of natural light, basically, and I wouldn't admit that earlier in the day, but at this time of night, I don't think it matters if anybody knows that I am drinking a beer. So I'm going to have to do something different for my live broadcast at the convention tomorrow evening. I may go out and get myself some Modelo, or I don't think I'm going to go so far as to get Guinness Stout because it foams up too much. But something that looks like Coca-Cola and put it in a glass, and that way don't have to worry about damaging the reputation of the convention for doing a public broadcast and be drinking at the same time. So, oh, good Lord.
Somebody say drinking.
I am scared to death about this reading I've got to do tomorrow night.
Oh
Because
no!
it is one of my least favorite things to do is sit there and
talk,
read
and
my
talk for a
own
couple
work.
hours.
Well, it'll be about an hour. But the thing is, I will be the only one that is in the channel.
Do you want me to hold your
With,
hand while you do it?
you wouldn't be able to because you'd only be there as text.
I could do this right here.
You can't do that on Discord through this particular server. I will be the only one with a voice and a camera, and everybody else will be doing text only. So it'll basically be I'm sitting here reading this stuff off, and occasionally I can look up and see people's complaints about how badly I'm reading my own material. Thankfully, I know how to pronounce all the alien names because I made them.
You're the only one.
It really, yeah, that's the exact fact, and some of them are a little bit weird. But the thing that I chose to read is basically a steampunk western. Oh, what time have we got here? But we've only been at it for an hour.
How long does your Last Man Standing show normally run?
And until everybody leaves and I have to go to bed.
Oh.
So
which is why I still to this day say that the show should have been called Last Dan Standing. You literally are.
You only have to change one letter, Dan.
Okay. I know.
One letter.
I've already got the copyright. I mean, all the paperwork.
Now, how did you get Last Man Standing if what's his name's got the TV show that he was doing? So.
Haven't the foggiest idea. It's just something I started saying to myself at conventions when I was the last one awake at the after parties after all the panels and everything had closed down, and then the dead dog party when everybody just kind of wanders off and packs up and starts getting ready to go home, and I'm still sitting there going, well, I don't have to check out till tomorrow morning.
Oh, that back in the days when I had money and con rooms didn't cost $1,000 for a weekend, I used to get the room until Monday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me time to sober up and get over my hangover, usually. And that's what if you can afford it, I highly recommend staying until Monday afternoon at a convention. So.
I finally developed the habit of checking in Thursday afternoon and checking out Monday, if not Monday morning, then Monday right at the deadline before they decided to charge me for another day. And it's basically, it's a wonderful thing. You show up and the people that are there when you show up are the vendors packing everything in, and you can help people out. You can tote barges and lift bales and do whatever you want, and just be a good neighbor, and then you hang around. I spend all of my time either in a panel or watching a panel or in the con suite or out in the smoking area, and then go to a few parties once it gets dark, and try to be able to get my way back to the. There have been times when, and I have friends that will testify to this. There have been times when I had to get thrown over the handlebars of a walker and trundled back to the room. And 30 minutes later, I woke up and escaped, and they had to go find me again. But I was always in the con suite. So, once a fan, always a fan, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
But what I like most about it is exactly the kind of thing that we've got here is all the conversations that you can just walk up on and go, oh, I know something about that. Can I think of something interesting to say to get in on this? And half the time I could, and half the time I just had to walk away because I couldn't think of nothing interesting. But it's like you wind up interacting with the most interesting people. And after the weekend's over, for the life of you, you can't remember their name. And then you show up the next year and they're there again. You go, oh, I hope he says his name.
Well, it's kind of like that one con I was at where I was talking to some guy named El Sprague de Camp. I was like, what the hell kind of name is Sprague?
Yeah, and I've only got 10 or 20 of his books. So.
Yeah.
Oh heavens!
Harlan Ellison, what did he write? Yeah.
Josh says helping people pack up is an easy way to network.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so is going to room parties. So is hanging around in the lobby after a panel is over, and you found somebody that was asking questions.
Easiest job to pull at a convention. You can volunteer, and most conventions will give you like half off your con badge or whatever if you volunteer. Easiest job, security. You usually just have to stand at the door and check the badges to make sure that people are actually authorized to come into the convention events and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And you get to meet everybody. That's what's really cool about it. So.
That's what Joe does at Hallowcon, doesn't he?
Oh, Joe does whatever he damn well wants. It's his convention.
And it usually involves gas.
Well, another good job is volunteering for the con suite.
That's a good one. Registration. If you know some people, do registration because you literally get to meet everybody pretty much.
Yeah. The green room if you're interested in meeting all the guests.
Yeah, that's another good one. Well, pretty much just volunteering at the convention. The only one you want to do where you don't get to meet people, operations.
Mm.
I can highly recommend not volunteering for operations just because you have to sit in a room and listen to radios and telephones.
Yeah, and
good for reading books. That's about it.
Tech support, because there's always some piece of equipment you've got to go beat with a hammer until it works again.
But tech support can be fun because you get to go to all the event or all the concerts and dances and everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tech support's kind of cool because you can wheedle your way into anything. Like any, if somebody's doing a reading, you can get in there and make sure the microphone's working. Hint, hint. Yeah.
Got to check the wire and let me in. Oh, yeah.
And even if they've got a 150 person limit and they've already got 150 people in, tech support can get in.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're staff. They don't count as attendees at that moment. Yeah, like I said, I'm nervous about this. I've got the story picked out. It's one of those things where it's science fiction. You can tell where I stole stuff from H.G. Wells. You can tell where I stole stuff from Abney Park. You can tell where I stole stuff from a lot of different movies. And that's 90% of being a writer is being able to steal stuff and make it look like it's yours. Gotta file those serial numbers off real carefully.
Sort of a Thomas Edison kind of person, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know, I was talking about being on security, and it's fun because you can meet everybody. I was at a Dragon Con one year, and they had Mark Hamill was there, but he was expressly not doing anything Star Wars. He was there to promote the Wing Commander game that had come out that he was doing a voice on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and their big sign out front, no Star Wars. So I'm sitting there, and all I had to do was watch a door. Just don't let anybody in unless they're fishing, unless they're escorted or they have a security, a staff badge. Okay, no problem. I'm sitting there, and I kept running people off from this one door. And finally, his escorts show up with Mark Hamill. He's waiting to come in the door. And I'm sitting there. And he goes, hi. I says, hey. I says, weren't you in Corvette Summer? And he laughed his ass off.
I would have said, wasn't you on that episode of the Partridge Family where Lori got braces?
Was he?
Yeah, he was Lori's kind of dorky boyfriend, and they found when she got braces, they were going to do a TV shoot from their house, but Lori kept saying she kept hearing music, and nobody else could.
Oh, she's
They
picking up the
found out
radio
it
on her
was
braces.
picking up the radio through the braces. She says, I think it's the Rolling Stones. And so they made a big old sweep, and there's Mark Hamill out there with the little transistor radio and the earbud in his ear and that, and they figured out that's where it was coming from.
Corvette Summer, that was the one where his nose got broke, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I know.
I've seen it, but it's been.
He was in it with
it wasn't part of the movie. It was an accident while they were filming.
I'm trying to remember. Annie Potts, he was in that with.
It's been a long time.
It has.
And as much as I love Annie Potts, I can't remember everything she's been in either. It took me the longest time to figure out that she was the secretary in the original Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, wow.
What?
Look that up. I may be wrong.
You're right.
No,
it took you how long to figure it out?
Oh, quite a while. It was only because of what was it? Designing Women.
Mm-hmm.
And that
he was in that as well.
Finally, the voice clicked.
Well, she was throwing out a pretty thick accent for Ghostbusters. I'll give you
that.
Yeah, she was.
But we got a live one. I go, wait a minute, I know that voice.
And how she talks now on Young Sheldon is the same exact Southern accent that she used in Designing Women. And I'm looking at the cast list. Yes, she was in it. Mark Hamill. Talk about your Partridge Family reference. Danny Bonaducci was in Corvette Summer. I don't remember that.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's your Partridge Family crossover there.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, he played Coots. Oh, that must have been one of the other kids at the school.
Yeah. So his appearance on the Partridge Family would have been about around 1972, and then this was out in 78, so not that far apart.
No, not really. He got a little taller.
Yep. Oh, he basically looked. His hair was little darker and a little shorter, or maybe just a different style, but he did look just exact.
Oh, that reminds me, we were talking about that car from the Wraith earlier on Stupid O'Clock.
That Dodge.
I just rewatched that a few weeks ago, and I went so far as to look that up because I had only seen it once before. I'm going, wait a minute. I know Ron Howard's little brother is in it, and I know one of the Sheen guys is in it, and I know this beautiful car is in it, but I don't remember much of anything else. And evidently, I got hold of my rewatch here recently was one of the uncut versions. So there was a lot of stuff in that I did not see before. And it was definitely one of those made for teenagers at a drive-in sort of movies from back in the day when I was a teenager and was going to drive-ins with my parents. I'd only been to drive-ins myself a couple of times, and that was with a bunch of guys because we wanted to make fun of the movie. It's like we were doing MST3K sitting in the car in the drive-in.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Chris. It was a Dodge prototype car.
Yeah, it was a beautiful piece of machinery. The one in the final scene where it gets given away is totally different paint job and whatnot from the one that was actually the prop in the movie. But still, it's a beautiful piece of machinery.
You guys were talking about all that earlier, and you were talking about the weapons on the cars and stuff. First thought that come into my head was the car that Sylvester Stallone drove in the original Death Race 2000.
Oh, yeah. Machine Gun Joe, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he had the twin Thompson machine guns over each headlight, and I think it was like a big Bowie knife or something in the middle, down the middle of the hood. It was just incredibly campy, like the whole movie was. Although I thought David Carradine's car, I did like that. To a certain extent.
Yeah, Kung Fu was really good for him, but he kind of got typecast into doing that sort of thing. The action hero that always knew the martial arts when he could have been able to do so much. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a beautiful machine.
Oh yeah. My favorite movie that David Carradine was in was, and I can't remember the name of it, but basically it was the Woody Guthrie story where he played Woody. And I'm trying to think of the female lead part on that, and I cannot remember right now.
Was that a Boxcar Alice or something? Or I remember it.
Yeah.
Boxcar Bertha, I think it was, and it was Barbara Hershey. But hang on a minute, let me look. Let's see.
I'll be right
back.
I
think that's a different movie. This was actually the story of Woody Guthrie.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that one's called. I'm looking it up right now, actually. Let's see. Hey, he was in Wagon Train. Let's see. Well, he was in a lot of westerns as a kid.
Bound for Glory.
Bound for Glory. That's the one.
1976.
He was also in Boxcar Bertha.
Yeah. Melinda Dillon. I could not remember her name for nothing. Melinda Dillon. Yeah, Randy Quaid, Gail Strickland, Ronnie Cox. A lot of Mary Kay Place. Yeah, he was really good.
My favorite movie he was in was Circle of Iron. If you ever got to see it. It was a movie that Bruce Lee wanted to do, but he died before they were going to chance to do it. So it wound up being, one of the producers was James Coburn and David Carradine. And I can't remember the other film, but this was back when Kung Fu was getting really big in Hollywood among the Hollywood stars that were learning Kung Fu to be action heroes, whatever, stuff like that. And the whole movie is basically all about Zen philosophy. And Christopher Lee was in it. David Carradine. There were quite a few. What's his name? Eli Wallach was in it. Just a lot of famous Hollywood type folks. We got one from Josh Kemp that says, "Hey Bill, can you extend that boom mic out any?"
Yeah.
Might work better farther away from you there.
A little further away.
Yeah, because it's off to one side, so you're missing it. Put it down under your chin slightly. Closer to your center. There you go. Right out there ought to be good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Give it a shot and let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea.
Yeah, well, we don't have the telegraph noise, do we?
Happy now?
Mm.
That was the Wraith vehicle was the Dodge M4S Interceptor. And apparently it had that body shape so that they did wind tunnel testing and got it down to a drag coefficient of 0.236. I don't know what the hell that means.
Impressive.
I don't know what the hell that means, but it sounds good.
Sounds like a jet airplane.
Right.
Hey, look it up. I mean, you might be surprised.
Guys, I think I'm going to be the first man not standing.
Yeah,
I didn't think you was to begin with.
Well, I have been hauling furniture all day.
Yeah. He gonna be first man reclining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to. The worst part is I had to pull down the. We should pull down the old ceiling fan first. Then you have to figure out how to put the new one in there.
Yeah, really, because they never make them so that they just fit right in.
This one did not do badly. It just had a lot of different things to it.
Mm.
Now, if it just so happens I go there tomorrow and there's fan blades laying all over the back porch, I'll know what happened.
Yeah, somebody stuck their arm up.
Sticking in the drywall.
This on the back. It's a sunroom on the back of our house. There's no drywall. It's all vinyl. So, which of course, so is the ceiling fan blades. So, no big deal.
So you wind up, you've got a lot of powder to sweep up where they self-destructed against each other.
My mom, it's kind of weird. My mom has a bunch of stuff that she got from her grandmother. It's all like really classic. And you ever see the Antique Roadshow?
Mm-hmm.
I can make a fortune off that show with everything my mom. She's been giving me all this stuff. Hang on to this; it's worth money. So apparently she thinks I can make a fortune off Antique Roadshow.
Well, you might make something.
Well, I want to show y'all one thing she gave me today. Hang on, I got to go in a different room to get it. Hang on.
Okay.
Meantime, Chris Walker said fuel economy and no wind resistance.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was talking about the car, but he could be
the
talking
Dodge prototype. Yeah.
Yeah, but he could have been talking about John's mother's ceiling fan too.
I kind of doubt that. It's probably electric, so fuel economy is not a problem. Damn, get your guitar out. Oh, okay.
I think you're familiar with that one, aren't you?
Wait a minute. Is that a 4-string or a 6?
It's a 4.
Oh, that's Paul's.
That's Paul. It's not an actual Hopner, but it is a very decent copy. I got some issues right now with this.
with the
And
electronics.
just a little bit of wiring issues that I know can fix. But
Is
I
it
am not the one who can do it, but I do know someone who can.
is it strung left-handed? It looked like it was right-handed.
No, it's strung right-handed because
Okay.
I predominantly play bass right-handed, but I can play a few songs left-handed. I did that. I see. When I was growing up, I originally was a southpaw, but that was a sin to be a southpaw. And my parents uh, had me tutored to become right-handed, and but there are still several things I can do left-handed, and that was when I first tried to play guitar. I did try to play left-handed first because it was just more comfortable to me, and
For me, it was a second grade teacher that didn't allow left-handed children. So I got the ruler across the knuckles until I started trying to learn how to do everything right-handed. As a result, I'm neither-handed. You heard of ambidextrous? I'm the exact opposite. I can't do shit with either hand. But I use my computer mouse with my left hand and the number pad with my right hand. And people at work look at me like I'm doing some kind of witchcraft.
You are.
Oh yeah, well. Now what is that painting there, John?
This is some picture that my grandmother had. That apparently it's some style that was popular in 1915, 1916, 19-teens, 1920s era. And this was at my grandmother's house forever. This hung over the couch in her living room. And she has two lamps with a Jamaican theme on them.
Mm-hmm. Now at this distance, that looks vaguely oriental.
It does. She's wearing some sort of kimono type thing.
Okay.
It has a mirror in her hand, and I know nothing else about it.
Well, just checking my eyesight. Oh, Saturday I get a new pair of glasses. Hey!
Yay! Congratulations. But
Wow.
it's kind of funny. I grew up with this all these years, and I didn't think anything about it. My mom's like, you need to hang on to that because that's worth some money. So now I'm wondering what the... And apparently my mom has seen this exact same picture in a movie.
Yeah.
Josh Kemp says, turn it around.
Turn it around.
I hope you like cobwebs.
I will say that. Well, I wish my best friend Laura was here. She has to work. So
I thought the same thing too, Josh, but I didn't see anything back here either.
Yeah.
It's nicely enclosed, so it is rather old. It is not the style nowadays to have that kind of a solid back.
It's paperback. That's like
yeah, but it covers the entire thing. It's not like you twist a couple of little plastic pieces and you can get to the inside.
But do your homework on it, John. You'd be surprised.
I'm going to get me a picture of it and do a search on Google.
Also, another, Laura, she sells on eBay and that, so she does extensive searches on things she gets. But she has a Worth Point, which she pays, I think, $24 a month. But you can find a lot of stuff, a lot of information on there you can't find elsewhere. And but yeah, you'd be
if you knew how many hurricanes this damn thing had survived, you'd be really impressed.
Okay.
Because I know about 5. I'm pretty sure it survived more than that. Let's put it this way. This thing rode out Hurricane Camille and Hurricane Frederick that I know of. So.
That's impressive all on its own.
Must have had it somewhere safe.
You really put it in a safe. Yeah, my mom's got a bunch of antique furniture, and knowing Mom, it's actually certifiable antique, but she's got this specific style that she likes to collect. And the thing is, we've been using it for like just a normal Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner dining room table for decades. And I don't know if that's going to reduce the value of it or anything, but my sister's kind of going, well, let me see what I can get out of that.
Yeah, when my uncle died, only thing his children were interested in was his jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to come out for the funeral. Didn't want. They wanted to come out and see him before he died, but they couldn't do that fast enough. So, and apparently, he had a lot of rather expensive stuff in his apartment at one time that's disappeared. So I don't know if his neighbor stole it or what. But.
Yeah. My great uncle, when he passed away, he had a collection of firearms that would be enviable, including a few pistols that were really, really old. We could tell that just from looking at them. They weren't the standard 1960s designs. And those just mysteriously vanished during his funeral. So we kind of wondered who in the family decided not to go to the funeral and to go load up a truck instead. But that's just one of those things. When you've got stuff like that has been in the family since before the turn of the century, somebody's going to want to lay claim to it before anybody else can read the will.
His dad was a dentist and made jewelry, handmade jewelry on the side as a hobby.
Similar skills.
And so everybody in the family had custom jewelry. And back in those days, it was nice jewelry. Nowadays, it's exceptional jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it's disappeared over. I don't know if he's pawned it or what, but he had a coin collection, had a knife collection, had guns at one time, but we couldn't find any of his guns. So. He may have pawned them all. I mean, we don't know.
My wife knows where all that stuff is. It needs to go to other family members that are into that sort of thing. When I buy something like that, it needs to stay in the family. I've got my oldest girl wants my books. My oldest boy.
Are you going to wheel her a truck to haul them off in?
Truck. She's going to need a security.
A dump truck. Yeah.
She's going to need security for some of this stuff.
She'll just have to move in and live there.
Oh, I don't believe that she and my wife would get along as roommates for very long. But darling girl, I love her to death. But
gentlemen, I'm going to call it a night because I've been up all day moving furniture and my back's about killing me. So. And let me tell you, dragging that damn trundle bed up in the attic just about killed me.
Yep, it sounds like it. Those things are built not to be moved.
Of course, I imagine getting it back downstairs would be a lot easier.
Oh, that's next week.
Don't laugh. With my mom, it quite literally might be next week.
I was not laughing. I'm serious. I have a mother. I can predict them.
Hey, you know what? My mom's two favorite colors are ooh and shiny. Okay.
All right, John. You go ahead and
Thank you, Josh.
get you some sleep.
Throw that up there. And,
Yeah.
I had, strange enough, one of my first guns was a Montgomery Ward, which is very similar to Sears and Roebuck.
Mhm.
I think it was made by H&R, but a 410 single stroke shotgun.
Ooh.
And
Monkey
I had been
Ward.
told, but I'd never tried it because I never had the money to buy the shells, that you could put 45 long Colts in it and shoot 45 long Colt ammo.
There are guns that are made for that, but
Right. But like I said, I was a kid back then. I got grounded for shooting it when I wasn't supposed to, and it disappeared on me. And this was in the middle of winter, and I went out. The house we were living in had a fireplace, so I went out in the garage to get some firewood to put on the fireplace, right? And my stepfather at the time had hidden the shot when he grounded me and took the shotgun away. He had hidden it behind the wood pile. Okay. So when I was grabbing the firewood to put in the fireplace, I found the shotgun. So I had a big pile of wood in my arms and grabbed up that shotgun, threw it up on top of that pile of wood, and went in there, dropped the pile of wood on the fire, and set it next to the fireplace. And I was throwing wood on the fire. The next thing I heard was ping. That shotgun, because it had been out in the garage, was freezing cold. And when I took it in and laid it up against the bricks right next to the fireplace, it quickly expanded and broke the chamber.
oh,
Which, as far as that shotgun is concerned, that was the end of that shotgun.
that's the end of that shotgun.
Anyway, that's how I lost my Montgomery Ward single stroke 410 shotgun.
Mm.
And I wish I had it because apparently a lot of people have never heard of it. They knew the H&K or HK. They knew the H&R variant, but they didn't know that Montgomery Ward was selling them in their catalogs.
Mm-hmm.
We bought it in a pawn shop, so that'll tell you something.
Monkey Ward stuff is actually quite sought after, especially with shotguns. That
Yeah.
simply
They're-
just because of what you said, John, instead of memories from your childhood.
Yeah.
If I was a rich phonetic collector, I'd be trying to find one of the 1911 A1s made by the Singer Sewing Machine Company.
It's like if you buy M1 carbines, everybody wants the Rockola jukebox one.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you buy M1 Garands, everybody wants the ones done by International Harvester.
Mm-hmm. For the exact same reason. Those are not common.
No. And then it's kind of weird how many people made firearms during World War II that you just wouldn't think of them. Like Rockola jukebox, you wouldn't think of them as being a firearms manufacturer. But one of the other ones that was interesting is GM's guide lamp division that made the headlamps for all the GM vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Made the M3 grease guns, the 45 caliber submachine guns that tankers all used back in those days.
Who made the single shot liberators? I forget.
A lot of people, but I think GM was one of the manufacturers actually.
Man, there should be just a
those things.
ton of those out there, but it's
No,
so
that's
rare to
funny.
see one.
They didn't actually make that many of them. But here's what they would do. They would make like 500 of them and stamp serial numbers on them, and then skip like 15,000 serial numbers, and then make another 500, and then skip another 15,000 serial numbers, 25,000, whatever, and then make another 500, and then skip another certain amount of serial numbers. And when they dropped them into Europe to give them to the French resistance, usually the Germans would capture the drops. And the Germans would go through and look at them, and basically they wound up scrapping all of them. But they would copy down all the serial numbers. And what scared them is they had 500 of them by serial number. And then they would capture the next 500, but there were 15,000 of them in between that they hadn't captured because they didn't exist. But but now all these German guards in France are like, there's 15,000 French resistance fighters armed with these damn things.
Psychological warfare.
Oh, it's brilliant
It's a
psyop.
brilliant. Yeah.
And they wound up. I think they wound up the number. It wound up like at some exorbitant, like 1.5 million of them had been built. They actually only built like 45,000 of them. But by serial number, there's 1 million of them out there. So all the Germans that were like looking for these things, like, oh my God, we can't go anywhere without getting shot.
That's something like I used to say about the stealth bombers and the stealth fighters. They should have just gone to disused airports and spray painted the outline of the planes on the ground in something that would soak up heat and let the spy satellites go across and photograph billions of them.
I know for a fact that out at Area 51, they used to make fake aircraft. And they would put sheet metal pits in them to represent engines and stuff like that. So that as these things absorbed heat from the desert sun, parts of them would be hotter than other parts. And as the Soviet satellites went over, they'd see these things and they'd, oh my God, what is that? What is that? And it was nothing. It was a plywood target. If you saw it from the ground, if you're standing next to it, it just looked like a piece of plywood up on a couple sawhorses. But if you looked at it from the air, it was some unique aerodynamic shape that the Soviets had never seen before and drove them nuts. You remember the movie Space Above and Beyond?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember the hammerhead fighters they had?
Yeah.
They filmed part of that at a Marine Corps Naval Air Station out in California. And they made a couple of mock-ups that they had out there. Well, they had the FA-18s in the background just to make it look cool. But they had these futuristic starfighter type things sitting out there. And apparently, a bunch of Soviet spies who had been paying attention to that particular air base saw those things, took pictures of them, and it freaked the Soviets out because the United States had developed these damn things in secret, and they hadn't heard anything about it from anybody. Lockheed, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, nobody. They had not heard. All their spies at Lockheed, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas had heard nothing about this secret space fighter thing being built. Now, this was back when Reagan had been talking about Star Wars and the Star Wars project. Freaked the Soviets the hell out. And they were movie props. But because they had the Marine Corps markings on them, it didn't occur to them that this was a movie being filmed there.
I have seen something about that on YouTube from the point of view that these were actual, for real, existing space fighter planes. And this is one of those things that's going to have to show up on Ted Davies' conspiracy theory show here next month.
Hey, there you go. You need to throw that one at him. So.
Hey, I will. I mean, there's so many things.
It's called an SA-58 Hammerhead or something like that. Let me look that up.
John, you've been trying to go to bed for 15 minutes.
That's the problem. I'm not sleepy.
You're tired and you hurt, but you're not
I'm
sleepy.
exhausted and I hurt and I'm stuffed up from the whatever this.
Got a second wind.
Is the SA-43 Hammerhead.
It's probably the dust in the attic that's got you stuffed up.
Don't laugh. No, one of Mom's foster kids, she was babysitting last weekend, had something. And we've all got it.
You're allergic to children?
It's called the daycare plague. Everybody in foster care gets.
Oh, it's like kennel cough.
Oh, I've strangely enough, I found the actual article about it freaking out the Soviets. I'll be damned. How did I do that? I might Google foods. It's
post that in Stupid O'Clock, please.
I will.
Oh.
Facebook. Let me see. Where's my stupid? I hate that Facebook did an update. Now I can't find any of my damn groups.
Yeah. Like I said,
Facebook, you suck. You sorry bastard.
You can go up to the groups header on that column of stuff.
Yeah.
And click on it, but it wipes out your news feed and gives you only entries from the groups. Used to be able to.
Oh yeah, I just posted it.
Okay. I'll have to check that out probably after my panel tomorrow.
But you know what's funny about it is
earlier.
they used actual aircraft landing gear on it to make the mock-up. So they actually towed it around with like the little tug craft that tow the aircraft around. And there's a great picture on that site where there's somebody towing it around on a tug. I'm trying to get down to the part about what did it say it, darn it. Let's see. Oh, darn it, they don't have the story about it freaking out the Soviets.
Oh well.
What does freak out the Soviets?
Let's see. For some reason, they said it was filmed in Australia, but I don't think it was.
Oh, that's sort of like the thing with the wheels on the ground and the ladder standing up at an angle, and it's supposed to be Wonder Woman's
jet.
Yeah. Well played.
Well played, Air Force. Well played.
Yeah.
Right.
We probably got like about 20 minutes before I had to head to bed myself because I do have to.
I might last that long. I might not. If I fall asleep snoring, don't try to wake me up.
You know what? You guys were talking about this, about the mock-ups and all that. It kept reminding me of a story. I think it was out of either the Chicago Tribune or the Chicago Sun-Times in the 80s. They were having issues on either the Dan Ryan Expressway as far as the speeders. Might have been on LSD, Lakeshore Drive. And what they did is they made a plywood cutout of an Illinois State Police car. Just a 1D cutout, and that had it all painted up in that, and put it by the road to try to get people to slow down. But what made the story in the newspaper, whichever one it was that some old woman had pulled over to the side of the road and was going to go up to that patrol car to ask for directions. Did not know it was plywood cutout. See you, Josh. Thanks for coming in. And so there's the picture of the old woman talking to the plywood cutout of the patrol car, not realizing it wasn't real.
Atlanta could cure their traffic problem if they just required all the taxis in Atlanta to be painted up and equipped like state patrol cars. Because they already drive like bats out of hell, so, it would look like real police cars out there. And people would generally go slower than the taxi cab, which wouldn't reduce the speed by much, but on the other hand, that's probably a really stupid idea.
We were coming back from Chicago last weekend. We seen a police motorcycle in the median of the highway that we were on. And then up ahead, 5 miles up, you would see where the patrol car had been pulling somebody over. The police on the motorcycle was running the radar, and he would just, radio ahead, to the patrol cars, and they would actually do the stops. On there, we saw about 5 or 6 of them like that in about a 12-mile radius. Where
we had somebody wasn't local to my area, but somebody in Georgia was parked on the side of the highway with a hairdryer, pretended to be an unmarked police car with a radar gun. And folks are going, you know, if somebody ever figures that out, you're going to get shot. And
Go
I'm
to
going,
jail.
yeah. Believe me, if it slows somebody down, they might want to pay people to sit out there with their hair dryers. And then again, it is Georgia. People will get shot. Although it would be novel to be shot by somebody who wasn't wearing a badge for a change in this day and time. Oh, that was terribly rude. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Oh. Well, how about that Babylonian Tupperware? Just to change the subject. Oh, heavens. Sometimes my mouth runs away without my brain being consulted.
Pear pimples for hairy fishnets.
I'll take your word for it.
Nobody got that one. I'm so depressed.
No. Sounded like Monty Python. Then again, it could have.
Close. It was Boone County. It was Boone
Oh.
County. And Opus was trying to get through the airport, and Hare Krishna stopped him.
Oh.
And the Hare Krishna was trying to get donations to make prayer temples for the Hare Krishnas. And Opus kept mishearing him and heard pear pimples for hairy fish nuts. What?
Oh, that's the kind of thing that can totally derail a student priest.
Just fork over the cash, Mac. Yeah.
Is that strip still in existence?
Sort of. Oh my gosh, I'll be darned if I didn't find it right off the bat.
They just run reprints.
He does mostly reprints, but he's got a website where they do reprints, but he does occasionally, like, he did some Trump stuff when Trump was doing stupid stuff, so he did like special edition type things. Let's see. Where was I going? I'll do that, click that button, and click that button, and then click that button. Yay. And then go back over here and click this button. And there we go. Unless that's the original comic.
I'm going to have to ignore the chat and zoom that on up.
Go right on ahead. Ain't nobody chatting anyway.
I know, but oh, now I've been seeing stuff where they have been crossing this over with Hobbes from Calvin and Hobbes here.
That was one of the recent ones, yeah. Well, actually, that's an old one, but it's kind of recent. Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of sad that both of them decided they wanted to end their comic strips before they got old and stale.
And they've still got lots of stuff they can say.
Oh yeah, everybody wants Bill Watterson to come back. They had that documentary about what was called Finding Watterson.
There's actually a group of people that started to bring back, and they stopped because apparently Bill Watterson asked them to stop. But they started this thing called Calvin, Hobbes, and Bacon. And the idea is that Calvin has married Susie. They've grown up. Calvin's married Susie, and they've got a daughter named Bacon. And she got scared one night. And so Calvin went and found in top of the closet, went and found Hobbes and gave it to Bacon. And so it's the adventures of basically Bacon and Hobbes. So it's kind of cute.
Well, they wanted to do an animated cartoon of Calvin and Hobbes, but you know, Watterson was totally against any type of commercialism for Calvin and Hobbes, even though he idolized Charles Schultz and respected what him and his wife Jean did with the Peanuts franchise, but he didn't want to have anything to do with it, Calvin and Hobbes, other than the books that come out, the collective books. But there are people out there who are doing bootleg Calvin and Hobbes cartoons. You can find them on YouTube every once in a while, and then all of a sudden they get taken down.
Yeah.
People really love them, myself included.
I've got a couple of the large scale paperback collections of some of the newspaper strips up on the shelf there. But then I've got a lot of things like that. I got a huge number of huge number, maybe 6, maybe 10 of stuff from Scott Adams about Dilbert, and that sort of thing. It just at one time I would Xerox some of those and put them on the bulletin board in the office, and then people started trying to figure out who was doing it because they wanted it to stop, because you couldn't make fun of management, and I decided that discretion was the better part of valor, so I quit Xeroxing the darn things out of the books and newspapers and putting them up so that I could keep my job long enough to retire. And I've only got 31 months to go, so I'm not looking for another stupid thing for me to do. But years ago, it's like the story went that when he was in one of the staff meetings at the place where he worked, and he started scribbling stuff, people got quiet because they knew they'd wind up in Sunday's newspaper if they didn't shut up.
Yeah, that little handful I just had in my hand, just what I grabbed. I have a top dresser drawer, an antique dresser that is just full of nothing but the old Peanuts books, Dennis the Menace, Blondie, and anything I could got my hands on when I was a kid. That was, even though Mom threw away a lot of my comics, that was one thing she loved. So I did retrieve those.
My folks didn't throw away my comics. I traded them to some of my next door neighbors for other comics that I'd never read before. So I wound up getting rid of a bunch of stuff that was worth money for newer stuff that's kind of disposable. So I had some classic stuff, but late 50s, early 60s sort of thing that I had, and then I traded it for 70s stuff, and nowhere near the monetary value.
Well, Mom, when I told her after she initially threw a bunch of them away, she said, "Well, you read them already. What do you need them for anymore?" And then I said, "No, Mom, don't throw them away." So she didn't throw them away after that point. But what she did do was she boxed them up, put them down in our very wet basement. And so about a third of them was so water damaged that she might as well.
Yeah.
So I don't have nothing going back beyond 1963 because of that.
I've just got a handful of things now that I bought since I stopped collecting. My first wife sold off 1,100 comic books dating from 19 1959 forward. And I had complete runs of different things. There was DC, there was Carlton, there was the Comics Illustrated. There was all kinds of stuff like that. I had some stuff that turned out to have been worth money if I still had it, but she got about a dime a piece for the damn things. So that was one of the reasons that I was glad I got divorced, because this was a very stupid woman. It's like selling off all your stocks and bonds for pennies on the dollar, just because you're tired of reading the newspaper to see how rich you've got.
And now everybody thinks everything is worth a lot.
Well, no, it actually isn't. There are a lot of things that are really neat, and they've got absolutely no collectible value whatsoever. There are a lot of things you think would be really stupid that actually happen to be worth something. And the only way to keep up with it is to keep buying the Overstreet guide. There are people that are collecting the Overstreet guides for various years and will pay money for an old one.
Oh my!
It's like somebody's willing to pay money for a TV guide from 1968. Excuse me. It was a TV guide. Nobody was supposed to be collecting those, but somebody did. If Reader's Digest were collectible, there might be $1 million worth of my mom and dad's house, but most of them would have been in the closet or in the basement and water damaged or whatever, and humidity damaged, or God only knows. But a lot of that stuff got thrown away.
Well, my friend Laura bought a introduction to, I believe it was welding, hardback book. Basically, very good shape with the exception of the small rib top part of the spine. And it was from mid-1940s, like 43, somewhere around there. She ended up selling that on eBay for $80. She paid like $3 that it was. And it's funny what people want these days. And this was part of a collection of different, how to use. There was one on electricity, one on plumbing, and everything else was the same series. But this is she had. But like I said, she did her homework. Behold, that I remember people said, "Well, I'll never buy comics that are, from 1980s on up, because that's when everybody started collecting everything, and they started collecting 10 this and 10 that, so they're not going to be worth anything, so I won't buy them." And I'm like, well, give me all your Eastern players, black and white, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics, and I'll buy them off you for a dime each, I mean, again, basically what he was saying, there was some truth to it, like when Jim Lee did the run on X-Men, kind of, and started over at issue 1 and brought them back into popularity in the early 90s. It was popular for a while, but yeah, everybody did buy them. Myself, some people said, I'm going to buy 8 or 10 copies of this and turn around and sell it and make a pen. But, look at the run that they had on then compared to the stuff that you were talking about from the 50s and 60s and what they ended up with. I mean, it's just the same way with baseball cards, But
Yeah.
when you ended up using your mom's clothes hanger and clipping that baseball card, that Henry Aaron baseball card or whatever it was, to to rattle the spokes on your bicycle to make it sound like a motorcycle, and the card gets ripped. Well, then that's, uh, one guy kept the card, and to the rest of us who did that, yeah, that's why that's common.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing I'm proud of. My family always used the drugstore deck of playing cards that cost about a dime, rather than something like baseball cards that obviously were going to be collectibles later on, to make the motorcycle noises on the bicycle wheels. Well, gents, it is 1 o'clock, and I really need to go to bed myself. And I believe we all three last men standing tonight. I want to thank you for being here, and anybody that's hung around, even though we don't have any viewers right now, we might have some more on the recordings later. Let's just do the outro, and I'm going to go to bed. And
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
good night, Mrs. McGillicuddy, wherever you are.
Good night, Chesty, wherever you are.
Let's see. Now I need to go to
You got a punch
this.
button.
I'm
I'm gonna hang around just to watch Dan not mess this up.
That's all, folks. Y'all have a good night.